to G News, where we give you all the updates on what's going on in the world, the green world. Today we have an extra special segment to share with you all about one of the most deadly but silent issues plaguing the environmental world today, electronic waste, also known as e-waste. We've brought in some amazing experts to give you a little more insight on why e-waste is wasting away our environment. Here we have a perfect example of what e-waste looks like and the mass outbreak it causes to not only the environment but also to civilians like you and I all around the world. With a world that's constantly looking for the newest update on their iPhone, computer, and more, it's easy to get caught up in the beauty that is technology. But have you ever wondered what happens to your phone after you toss it in the trash? Well, we've got Deandra in the studio to let us know a little bit more on the dangers of improper disposal of e-waste.
Electronic waste or e-waste is a set of used electronics that have come to the end of their useful life cycle and can be but is infrequently reused to produce new equipment such as laptops, tablets, etc. Proper disposal of e-waste is a rarity amongst common households. When we throw away our electronic devices, there are severe consequences that are mainly unknown to the common consumer. These devices are riddled with toxins that include but are not limited to lead, nickel, flame retardants, barium, chromium, and even mercury. This has become a concern for environmentalists everywhere, particularly because of the relationship between these toxins and various health issues generated as a result of e-waste. Now we have Isabella, who is in Guiyou, China, giving us a scoop on the impact of e-waste on Southeastern Asian countries.
Hello everybody, I am Isabela Nieto coming to you from Guiyou, China.
China is the world's biggest producer of e-waste, home to 70% of the world's electronic waste. Here in Guiyou, you can see that e-waste has become one of the greatest concerns, since it has generated a wide variety of health problems. People here exhibit substantial digestive, neurological, respiratory, and bone problems. This happens because China settled 70% of the world's e-waste.
Concern for the environment, China stopped accepting e-waste, and instead, these large e-waste producers ship their e-waste overflow to Southeast Asian countries, such as Japan and Vietnam, which are considered to be ill-equipped to manage e-waste. However, the severity of this issue has been constantly downplaying these Southeast Asian countries and are perfect examples that suggest that e-waste is not something that should be ignored. Back to you, Nicole, to the States.
Toxic materials are not the only things embedded in electronics. Valuable items like gold, silver, and copper are found in the laptops and phones. Cell phones in particular are resource intensive and composed of precious metals such as silver, gold, palladium, and copper. These materials require tons of resources in order to obtain them, which is a lot for underdeveloped countries, and end up using dangerous methods to extract these materials from the e-waste. Although these methods may bring in the cash these countries desperately need, it's completely unsustainable and harmful to the environment. But what are we doing about this issue? Now to Deandra with some more info.
Thanks, Nicole. With all this e-waste accumulating, it does beg the question, where is all this e-waste coming from? The United States is the second country with the most contamination due to e-waste. In order to address the situation, certain states within the United States have enforced regulations to control the recycling process of e-waste in hopes of minimizing the negative effects towards public health and environmental damage. This has changed the system of purchase of materials for some countries, which as a result improved the production of certain devices such as TVs, DVD players, etc. The implementation of rules to prevent an overhaul of e-waste has produced a decrease in e-waste production in many industries, as well as changed positively their production strategies. Now, let's go over to Isabella in Washington.
Isabella here, coming to you from Washington, D.C., outside the EPA, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. This organization works along the U.S. government and other countries such as Japan, Singapore, etc. to enforce restrictions and rules that respect environmental norms around the world. The EPA has also worked with Taiwan Environmental Protection Administration to coordinate the international e-waste management in the world. These two organizations help the U.S. government to enhance the management of electronics through the production of life cycle. This means that by improving the life cycle of electronic devices, it will reduce the number of e-waste in the United States and therefore around the world. For this reason, an undetermined amount of used electronics is shipped from the U.S. and other developed countries to places like Colombia or Morocco, which are specialized to treat the raw materials produced by e-waste. Clearly, the actions that the U.S. has taken to control the amount of e-waste in countries throughout the EPA have improved the environmental situation of the country and augmented the awareness of the effects of e-waste. Back to you, Nicole.
You heard it here first. E-waste is not something to joke about, kids. This issue is not one that'll be solved in a day, or a year, or maybe even a decade, and it is important to acknowledge its importance. Education and awareness need to be further implemented and emphasized, which will promote a sustainable and ecological lens to both manufacturers as well as consumers. Society is more than capable of bringing solutions to ending these toxic methods of e-waste disposal, but it takes individual responsibility for there to be real change. See you next time, where we talk about how artificial intelligence could be a solution to some environmental problems. Signing off.